What's up, Taiwan? I'm Liao with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. In Taiwan, if you publicly insult someone, even by swearing at them, you could face up to a year in prison or a fine of up to $3,000. Now, Taiwan's constitutional court is debating whether this is an unreasonable barrier to free speech. To find out more, TaiwanPlus reporter Louise Watt spoke to Michael Fahey, a Taipei-based legal consultant.
What is Taiwan's public insult law?
Well, Taiwan's public insult law is a criminal prohibition on insulting someone in public. So, for example, if you called someone a jerk, or the Chinese equivalent of a word that means kind of like brute or animal, 畜生, you could be convicted of public insult. It's intended to protect the citizens' interest in not having their dignity affronted in public by being insulted. If you don't want a criminal record, somebody might be able to extract a settlement out of you in exchange for dropping the charges. So it's not nothing. It can be a way to harass people. That's one criticism of it.
Why is the Constitutional Court debating this law now?
There have been complaints for many years that this is an annoyance and sort of not in keeping with Taiwan as a free and democratic society. I think it may be related to Taiwan, like everywhere else, is dealing with a lot of difficult questions about how do we regulate speech, especially online in a time of misinformation and hate speech and things like this, without unnecessarily burdening freedom of expression at the time. So I think the court thought that this would be a good time to take up one aspect of that much larger problem.
Who generally gets caught up in these kinds of cases? Who's bringing these suits and who's being accused?
I think the typical case would be two neighbors who get into an argument about something, or somebody at a meeting of a property management association in a large community who gets mad and, tells off the chairman of the meeting. Or perhaps a foreigner who gets, a close call in heavy traffic and yells something in English, a bad word and a curse word in English, which maybe is just an exclamation. But it's important to realize that the Chinese for this gongran wu means a public humiliation offense. So it's not just that you're insulting somebody, it's that you're publicly humiliating them.
What are the arguments in favor of keeping the law as it is?
I think it's just generally thought that, if people don't insult each other all the time, maybe there'll be less fights and we'll just live in a kinder, gentler society. And we don't want to see people insulting people online.
That was Michael Fahey, a Taipei-based legal consultant, speaking to Louise Watt. The court's ruling on the public insult law is expected within 3 months. Rights groups say none of Taiwan's presidential candidates are doing enough to promote gender equality.
这3个大党，例如说在缩减工时这个部分，基本上都没有非常具体的一个承诺跟诉求。民进党的部分当然有一些，例如说弹性育婴假的改革这样的一个承诺，但是大部分的诉求其实是比较偏模糊的带过。国民党跟民众党的回复，其实大部分的题目是比较没有去，就是说关注到真正性别平等价值的推进。
The comments come after a group of NGOs surveyed the 3 political party stances on certain gender issues. The group says the responses to questions about diverse political participation, the gender pay gap, and childcare were disappointing. As the election day looms, people here are looking closely at candidates' policies to decide who to vote for. Here at TaiwanPlus, we'll be exploring the real issues. Taiwan's low fertility rate looms over all facets of society. Addressing the shrinking population will need to be a top priority for the next president if the country is to have a future. Eric Liao explains.
There's an existential crisis facing Taiwan, and it isn't the Chinese military. The nation's on course to overtake South Korea as the country with the world's lowest fertility rate. Current projections suggest Taiwan's population could fall by as much as 40% by the year 2070. But as election day nears, the presidential hopefuls say they can bring the country back from this cliff edge. For Lai Ching-te of the ruling Democratic Progressive Party, access to childcare is key. Despite the low fertility rate, getting affordable care can still be difficult. Lai wants more publicly funded daycares and subsidies so the youngest children can go to them. He wants longer daycare hours to take the pressure off working parents, and he wants to make becoming a daycare provider or kindergarten teacher more attractive with pay raises. His opposition rivals are focusing more on the rising cost of living that makes having children too expensive for many. The Kuomintang's Hou You-yi wants maternity leave equal to full pay, up from the current 80%. He wants a one-off housing subsidy for families with 3 or more kids, and he wants to offer young women money to freeze their eggs. The Taiwan People's Party's Ke Wen-je sees the issue as one of cultural mores. He ties the low fertility rate to a trend of people not getting married, but he has proposed his own fixes all the same. He wants payments for expectant and new mothers, and to extend subsidies for children until they reach 12 years old. He also backs legalizing surrogacy and extending maternity leave. Overall, the issue of Taiwan's stubbornly low fertility rate has been overshadowed by issues like China and by the theatrical nature of the country's style of campaigning. But the chance to stop a population crunch is slipping away, and the winning candidate's decisions on this problem will decide how well Taiwan is able to keep going into the coming decades. James Lin, John Van Trieste, and Eric Gao for TaiwanPlus.
In a first, Taiwan's army has held live small-arm shooting drills on a popular tourist beach. Soldiers practiced firing at targets at the Red Beach in northern Taiwan's Taoyuan city. Red beaches are spots considered vulnerable to amphibious invasion. Officers say the drills provided valuable experience shooting in these conditions.
在海滩射击跟一般在靶场的射击的方式有很多的一些不一样，尤其是环境这个评估部分。
If you're a die-hard meat eater, you may want to look away. A new veggie product has hit the streets of Taiwan. Sally Ensign takes a look.
The kind of marbling you only see on animal flesh. But what if we told you these so-called meats are made from mushrooms? Research scientists and the private sector in Taiwan have developed this edible mycoprotein, a sort of fake meat made from fungus. And it's a big hit among first-time tasters.
感觉不出来它是素食的，对，真的像真的肉一样。它口感比市面上鸡米花再更扎实一点，然后吃起来没有说那么油。
Using 3D printing technology, the texture and taste of this fungi-based fake meat can be achieved in just 3 days. Compare that to the 7 months, massive amounts of water, land and feed it takes to raise a pig, only to send it to the chopping block for a potentially cancer-causing roast dinner. Schools are joining in with industry on this new 3D printed mycoprotein trend, adding veganized items like ice cream, popcorn chicken and hot dogs to the menu.
我们现在把它应用到连冰淇淋都在做，还有做面包、做烘焙。
For those who are already veggie, mycoprotein may not be much more than a fun new option. But for hardcore meat eaters, it's a kinder, healthier alternative to the often harmful food products they know and love. Ryan Wu and Sally Jensen for TaiwanPlus.
Potentially dangerous fungus has been found on fruit in chain supermarkets in Taiwan. The country's National Health Research Institute found fruit contaminated with Candida tropicalis. This drug-resistant fungus can cause yeast infections and illnesses that can be fatal in rare cases. Health officials advise washing fruit thoroughly before eating to avoid infection. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Before we go, feast your eyes on some Yule logs in the shape of iconic buildings in Paris. I'm Liao, take care, and I'll see you next time.